Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to our Vanilla Minecraft series. And today, as you can tell, we're going to be working on our floating platform a little bit. So I've actually done a little bit of off-camera work up here relating to our pumpkin and melon farm here. And I'm not entirely sure about it, but I added this. So the idea here is that we have our giant pumpkin, our hollow pumpkin from our melon farm and pumpkin farm. And it always had this big empty space up top, and it just looked really bad, and I never knew what to do with it. And the only things that came to mind were to either seal off the ceiling here and just have a little room down at the bottom, or to do this. Now, this is meant to look like these stringy, hangy down parts when you hollow out a pumpkin, when you're making like a jack-o'-lantern, for example. And I really like the idea, and I honestly kind of like how it looks, but I'm not entirely convinced that it actually looks like what it's meant to. So I don't know that if someone walked over here for the first time and walked into this giant pumpkin, that they would look up and go, oh, that's the hangy bits when you hollow it out. They might just go, oh, why are there all these fences up here? That looks weird. So I don't know. We'll see. I can always just block things off and make a little room, but I'll wait to see what you guys say about it. I also added in this little button right here, and this is the start and stop switch for our farm. Because before it was just always on and always generating tons of lag, so now we can push this to stop it, like we did already. I'd push it again and the cart would be on its way, push it one more time and the cart would stop once it reached its rest stop again. So, that's all well and good. Our pumpkin farm should be good for the time being, but that's not why I actually came up here today. That was just something I did randomly, but what I actually want to do today is build more farms for the sake of villager trading. Because having stuff like this high-efficiency melon and pumpkin farm makes trading go so much easier. But, well, we're still missing a few. Most notably, we are missing a crop farm, so potatoes and carrots, especially carrots because that's what I use to breed the villagers inside. And we're missing a sugarcane farm, because the librarians burn through paper like nobody's business, and the sugarcane farm on my island is not exactly built for speed. So, we want to do both of those things, but today I think we're going to focus on the crop farm specifically. And there's a few different things we need to keep in mind with that. One, we need it to be far away from this village, because if it's too close, the farmer villagers are going to try and get to the village inside the head of the villager, and then they won't be farming. So that's not good. The other problem that we're going to have is that because it needs to be far away from him, at least this far away, probably this far, and this is like the edge, so it needs to keep going this way. And that means that we're going to start crowding our mob farms a little bit, which I really don't want to do. I would like to have a nice bit of space in between them. Kind of poor planning on my part, but I think that as long as we don't go too overboard with our crop farm and make it huge, it should be okay. We should still have several dozen blocks in between them, and it'll hopefully look okay. We'll see. Now, we have the idea of what we want to do. We want to make a crop farm, a villager-based one, and we know where we're going to put it, roughly. But how are we going to style it? Well, I was thinking about this for a little bit, and recently we started our Mega Taiga Village project, right? The last 2 episodes were actually dedicated to that, and the reason I started that project when I did is because I wanted to get back into building buildings and structures, something that I haven't done in a long time. And I think that we can use this project as an excuse to practice that even more. So I was thinking about it a bit, and I think what I really want to do is go off of our platform a little ways, and then make an old school road, like a 1920s city street, basically. And I want to encase our crop farm, and eventually our sugarcane farm, inside of buildings that look like they were made in the early 1900s. Now, I don't know how that's going to turn out. Keep in mind, I have never built anything like that before, so kind of out of my element, but it should look pretty cool, if only because it looks insane in this area. So, well, let's see how it turns out.
Then I would baby, don't you, oh, baby. Oh, baby, then I would cry. Oh, baby, baby.
So here's our building so far, and I think I'm happy with that. I think as a first-time city building builder, that turned out okay. There are a few things that I'm not so sure on, though, like the entrance. That we can definitely do something a little better with. That was kind of just cobbled together, and I don't really care for it. But other than that, I think the building looks okay. There's a few things that I may or may not change, like we've got these lines in our windows. This is something that, while I was looking for reference images of old buildings, I was Googling like 1920s building, 1910s building. Naturally, when searching for that, as is the case with pretty much anything these days, a lot of Minecraft stuff was showing up. And something that I saw several people do was put like fences or cobblestone walls in their windows to act like a divider or something along those lines. And our windows here aren't quite big enough for that because we had to make the building somewhat compact. So I tried to do it with iron bars and glass panes instead, and I kind of like it. So from a distance, it just makes the windows look like they have a bit of a divider in them, which helps them look better. Like otherwise, it would just be a slightly colored area, right? They would be very solid. And I think having that little line in there helps a lot. The only issue is that when you're really close up to it, and more specifically when you view them from like a really harsh angle, you see that they're just a pane sticking forward. So I don't know about that. But I mean, even from here, just like this, I don't think it looks too bad. So kind of on the fence about that. It would be easy enough to remove them, but I'm going to leave them for the time being and see how I feel about them. So here's our road, by the way. And I think this turned out okay too. Unfortunately, I needed to build the little dashes in the center out of carpet so we could hide lighting. I know it would look better if it was just concrete, but we can't do that. Unfortunately, because we are going to be AFKing up here for all of these farms and whatnot, we really need to make sure that nowhere on any of these builds can spawn things at all. The last thing we need is a creeper spawning and killing us while we're AFK, or a zombie getting to all of our villagers, or anything like that. So, lighting is numero uno of importance when it comes to this place. So, that's the build from the outside. Let's take a little flyby, I suppose, to get a better view of things. The sides are a little more boring, but I think they work. And I did throw some stuff on the roof just to make it less bland when we're flying around, though, it's not amazing looking, obviously. But, oh, there's my island, by the way. We're quite close to it at this point. Actually, I really... how visible is this? Oh, goodness. Well, that's also because that area was just loaded. Let's go a little bit further to unload that area from our view completely, and then go back. I worry that we're kind of at the point where from the edge of our island we can see that, which, I mean, I guess it's not the end of the world if you go, yeah, I didn't realize even the mob farms, but yeah, we can see a big old flying city building now. That kind of sucks, but I mean, that's only right at the very edge of the island. I think it's going to be fine. Anyway, that is our city building. Let's go ahead and jump in there quick. Now, I haven't done any of the actual crop farm yet, obviously. But here's the inside. I'll have to do something to cover up that stuff on the roof from the bottom, because we'll probably be able to see that through the windows. But now what we're going to do is fill up all of this space. Basically, there's going to be, I think, 5 different floors in here. 1 for wheat, 2 for potatoes, and 2 for carrots. And I think that's going to work out relatively well. Then we're going to have this area down here where we can put a storage room in the back. And I'm thinking we'll probably try and decorate the front area and make it look like an actual building of some kind. It's just like when you first walk in. I don't know if we're going to get to that today. I'm kind of running into time constraints, honestly. But we'll see. We'll see if we get to that. Worst case, though, we can always do it later, or I'll do it off camera. But for right now, what we need to do is go ahead and get all of our farms in here and get them all up and running. Then we can worry about the extra little detail stuff. So, in order to do that, well, I need to build some farms, and much worse, I need to get some villagers. So, well, I better get to it. So, update time, our crop farm is up and running. Now, it's not 100% done just yet, but it is cranking out drops, and it's actually cranking them out at a rather scary pace. Much faster than I thought it was going to, and it's actually going to be a bit of a problem. So, down here is obviously the part of the farm that's undone, and this is eventually going to be our storage system. You can see I have a really basic, kind of temporary one set up. This is for our wheat and seeds. It's just for the bottom wheat farm, actually. So we're fast approaching 5 stacks of wheat already. The farm's maybe been running for 40 minutes, and I say that loosely. I think it's actually been less than that because there was a period of time where I was away from the area. So I'm not entirely sure how long it's been going, but it is going way faster than I thought it was going to because there are some inefficiencies with the system that I have. So a little surprising. Especially the potatoes and carrots. Check this out. Nearing a double chest. Yeah, this storage system is not going to cut it. Now, what I'm thinking for the storage system is we'll have a big array of chests, like normal. You know, we'll set up some automatic sorting stuff and have tons of chests for all of the different drops that we need. But what I also want to do is section off at least half of the building, and then in this half, have a purely aesthetic lobby area. So it actually feels like an actual building when you walk in, right? You walk through the doors and maybe there's desks or, it's walled off. I don't know how I'm going to manage to cover these things up because these need to be here for me to get around the water sources. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting challenge. But I would like this place to look at least somewhat convincingly like a lobby of some kind of 1920s building, some business or, office or something along those lines. And one thing that I want to try and work into that is a spot where you can walk in and then pick one of the crops, potatoes, carrots, or wheat, and then you put down a shulker box and it will take the shulker box, quick fill it, and then give it back to you, full of whatever drop you picked. I really want to do that. I don't know how practical that's going to be, or if it's worth doing it all versus just walking back here and using the chests. And I will still have that as an option. I'll have a way to get back here, but I think that sounds like a really cool feature to have in here. Just, for the sake of a theme and for the sake of making a purpose to having this big building around our crop farm, I think it would be kind of cool to tie it in like that. So for right now, that's our crop farm. It is running scarily fast, and we really do need to get that storage system done. But other than that, everything is working fairly well. In fact, let's actually go ahead and hop into the farm itself for just a minute, just to look at it for those of you who are unfamiliar with the concept. So our crop farms are relatively simplistic. Basically, we have a series of fields full of whatever plant types we want, and each one has a single farmer villager on it that will harvest and maintain the crops for us. Basically, these guys have 2 main missions in life. One is to go around and make sure that none of the plants are fully grown. If they're fully grown, they should harvest them and replant them. And if they find any blank farmland spots, areas that do not have anything planted, they're going to try and plant something there as well. That is really all that farmer villagers exist to do. That is their main prerogative in life. That is their mission. Now, the issue here is that they're going to maintain all of our crops, but they're also going to pick everything up and just kind of hog it for themselves. They're not too keen on sharing it with us. They are happy to share it with other villagers, though, and that's what the little contraption off to the side is. So basically, we trick the villager into returning to this area repeatedly, and we do that by having a spot that is always just bare farmland. Essentially, this area is too dark for crops to grow, so as soon as they're planted and then they receive a block update, they pop off. So the villager always returns to this area. When he's in that spot, he notices the villager above him, and this is a villager who has no food on them. It's a very hungry little boy. So our main villager, our farmer villagers, see that, they feel bad, and they try and throw him some food. But, well, the food doesn't quite reach him. Instead, it gets swept away, and, well, we take it, because that's just what we do. So that's basically how it works, with the exception of the wheat farm. Now, the wheat farm is a little more difficult, because wheat isn't what the villagers throw. If a villager has wheat on them and they're trying to throw food to another villager, they actually pre-process it into bread automatically. So we could make a farm like the ones above, but it would give us bread, which we don't really have a need for. So instead of doing that, what we do here is we just fill up the villager's inventory with seeds so that they don't pick up any of the actual wheat itself, and then we use a hopper minecart down below to pick up all of the wheat that gets left behind. Relatively simple, gets a little iffy when you have to go underneath water sources, but straightforward enough. So that is our entire crop system, and I gotta say I am quite happy with how it works. There are some inefficiencies to it, the way that it's laid out and the dimensions that it has. It's definitely not as fast as I could have made it, but I really cannot complain about how fast it is. So I am quite happy with the little build that we came out with today. I'm actually surprised that it turned out as good as it did. Now, I did say earlier, there's a few things that I probably want to change on it. The entrance, first and foremost, maybe adding an extra block here and there, but overall I really like it, and it was a very fun deviation from how I normally do things. So that was a ton of fun, and we even got a pretty decent crop farm out of it. In fact, let's actually run in there quick and check on how that's doing, because I've been over here for a few more minutes. Yep, over a double chest, and a hopper, and nearly 2 lines into the next double chest. We really are going to need that bigger storage system soon. I probably shouldn't dawdle on that too long. But for today, I'm going to have to call it here. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit too time constrained to pull off the entire storage system and the interior design stuff today. But we'll probably take care of that very soon, either next episode or in the near future in general. For today, though, it's going to have to stay how it is. I do look forward to the other parts of this project that are related to this, though. For example, our sugarcane farm. We're actually going to build that in a building next to this with a similar kind of 1920s theme to it. And maybe when we do that, we'll even work in some extra details, things like alleyways and maybe a car on the road or something like that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoying this project. It's just so fun to do something that's kind of outside of my usual. I like that a lot. Anyway, for today, I do have to go. It is 8:30 in the morning. I have yet to sleep, and I'm not going to be able to for several more hours, but at least the episode is done. I got my priorities straight. Anyway, I'm going to go. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this little project of ours. I love that we can see the villagers running around doing their little stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this project. If you have any suggestions for it or anything that we should add to this area, keep in mind I don't want to necessarily make an entire city block out of this, but maybe someday we'll work on an entire proper city build. I think that might be a lot of fun. Anyway, for today, I'm going to call it here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys next time.